Welcome to Boxing's Best, the home of elite fights, brutal knockouts, fight night drama, and the moments that define champions. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the best boxing content on YouTube. Now, let's get into it. The punches were thrown, questions answered, the cameras were rolling, but the real story didn't end in the ring. It unfolded at the post-fight press conference. For me, this wasn't just about who won or lost. This was about respect, reality, ego, and the line between boxing and entertainment. Anthony Joshua was very calm, calculated, and intentional with what he said. He entered the press conference exactly how elite champions do after a high-profile fight: composed, controlled, and deliberate. Joshua didn't gloat. In fact, he spoke kindly of Jake for his courage. He didn't chase headlines. He didn't mock Jake Paul. And that, in itself, spoke volumes. Joshua was very jovial and consistently framed the fight as boxing first, repeatedly emphasizing preparation, discipline, experience, and the difference between training to fight and living the sport. Every answer felt measured, not dismissive of Jake Paul, but unmistakably clear. He acknowledged that it wasn't his best performance and that he has a lot of work to do, praising Usyk's team for their hard work and determination and encouraging the youth coming into boxing to always put in the work. He also mentioned that he just wants to focus on being an athlete now, and demonstrated the importance of family. Joshua's body language told the story before his words did. Relaxed posture, steady eye contact, no defensiveness. This was a fighter who felt he had nothing to prove, because the ring already did it for him. Subtle, but powerful, whilst acknowledging that there was a lot of pressure on him to get the job done convincingly as a professional boxer. When asked about Jake Paul's future, AJ avoided ridicule and instead delivered something more cutting: reality. Not hype, not hate, reality. And boxing fans noticed. Where Eddie Hearn mentioned about perhaps another tune-up fight early next year, Joshua added that he is ready to go straight in with Tyson Fury. Jake Paul was defiant, frustrated, and still selling the brand. Jake Paul's press conference performance was exactly what longtime observers expected: defiant, emotionally charged, and part competitor, part promoter. There were flashes of genuine disappointment, moments where the bravado slipped, but there was also the familiar Jake Paul playbook: questioning narratives, emphasizing improvement, framing the loss as a learning experience, and, crucially, keeping himself relevant. Jake didn't concede the idea that he doesn't belong, even if the fight itself answered that question for many fans. What stood out most was the tension between who Jake wants to be and where boxing currently places him. He spoke like someone who still believes the ceiling is high, but the room felt different this time. Less laughter, less shock, more scrutiny. The novelty factor? It's fading. There was a noticeable shift when questions turned to legacy. Joshua spoke about championships, the responsibility of representing the sport, and earning your place over years, not moments. He also mentioned that America may now have a fighter in Jake Paul that can sell out similar stadiums to that of Fight Night in Miami. Jake Paul spoke about bringing new eyes, changing the game, making money. Neither was wrong, but they weren't speaking the same language. And that disconnect is the core issue boxing fans are now wrestling with. This press conference didn't just highlight two fighters, it highlighted two philosophies of boxing. One of the most revealing aspects wasn't the words, it was the energy in the room from the media. Joshua was treated like what he is: a former unified heavyweight champion. Paul was treated like what he's becoming: a serious figure, but no longer a novelty. The questions were sharper, the follow-ups tougher, the patience thinner. That alone tells you where the sport is heading. For Jake Paul, this wasn't humiliation, it was definition. He proved toughness and commitment. But the ceiling at the elite heavyweight level is now unmistakably clear. In rounding up, this fight didn't damage boxing. It didn't save it either. What it did was restore clarity. There are levels in this sport. And once again, boxing told the truth. If you want the real breakdowns, not hype, hit subscribe, like, and select the notification bell. Drop your verdict in the comments.